do we really understand what is it all about? Alright, so positive psychology, take note, is the scientific field devoted to human flourishing. So if it's a scientific field, then therefore, there have been researches and studies that have proven the effectivity or the um, usefulness of positive psychology to people in relation to human flourishing. Flourishing from the term flourish, how to make the person shine, how to be the best version of himself. Alright, so at the course, it focuses on things like happiness and well-being rather than on the negative. I always tell my students that in my perception, positive psychology is the extreme opposite of abnormal psychology. Just imagine in abnormal psychology, everything that is written in our DSM-5, all the abnormalities, we talk about mental problems, mental illnesses, behavior problems, behavior disorders, um, depression, and the like. But when we discuss topics in positive psychology, what you'll find there is happiness, well-being. So it's the extreme opposite. So I have here two definitions of positive psychology that was given by Peterson. So can I call somebody to read this? Si Lady Pauline ba naka-recite kanina? Sorry.
Hindi po, ma'am.
Oo, sige, ikaw. Nawala sa isip ko, sorry, Lady Pauline. I wrote your name here, but nakita ko parang hindi kita natawag. Sige. Lady Pauline, please read positive psychology definition.
Positive psychology is the scientific field devoted to human flourishing. Focus on present.
Alright, thank you, Lady Pauline. If you would notice, look at this definition, scientific study of what makes life worth living. Just imagine that positive psychology is a beautiful branch of psychology. If you're going to study scientifically what makes life worth living, definitely it's about finding purpose in your existence. You as a person, you as a student, you as a whatever you're going to pursue in your future career, how can you make your life worth living? We only live in this earth once, and it's important that you understand very well your purpose. Why are you here? How will you be able to make yourself purposeful to other people, to yourself, to your family? And that's what's making a person very much fulfilled. And that's what positive psychology is trying to teach you, trying to teach everyone. And next, the second definition, please read for me. Who wants to volunteer? Read lang. Not going to explain, just read.
Wow.
Yes, John. Is that John Benedict?
Positive psychology is the scientific study of optimal human functioning, aims to discover and promote the factors that allow individuals and community to thrive.
Alright, by Seligman. Thank you very much, John Benedict. So, positive psychology is the scientific study. When you say optimal human functioning, optimal meaning the most, the best, the maximum. Functioning, how do you function as a person? What career, or if not career, your purpose, in other words, to its truest sense. How will you promote and allow individuals and communities to thrive? Thrive means to keep achieving goals, to keep targeting goals. To thrive means to survive. To thrive means to always improve oneself, to be the better self at all times. And we're not only talking about individuals, but also of groups. So that's how positive psychology works. So in other words, positive psychology studies the things that make human life better. Alright, we always strive for what will be the best for us there. So this course, especially to you, students who are really affected by this pandemic. This course could be of great help to students in living and coping with challenges in life and to understand the world in a positive perspective, especially that we're experiencing pandemic. So here are the learning objectives and input information. Be the ones to read them. So what is positive psychology? There are different definitions of positive psychology, but if you're going to realize all these definitions would fall on the same foundation. So let's analyze each definition one by one. Please read definition number one for me. Volunteer. I don't want to call. I don't want to volunteer. Yes, Miss Mary Christina. Your name?
Kasipe po.
Okay, go.
Positive psychology is the study of conditions and processes that contribute to the flourishing of or optimal functioning of people, groups, and institutions.
Alright, so it's like discussed earlier. So it contributes to the flourishing of human functioning. Okay, and we're not only talking of certain individuals, but also of groups and institutions, whether it is education, company, students, any group of individuals. Positive psychology is always applicable. Alright? Next, definition number two. Please read.
Hey, ma'am.
Please struggle.
Positive psychology is the branch of psychology that uses scientific understanding and effective intervention to aid in the achievement of a satisfactory life, rather than merely treating mental illness.
Alright, so instead of treating mental illness or rather than treating mental illness, why not help the person achieve why not have the person realize how to achieve a satisfactory life, a life that is fulfilling in order for that person to prevent depression and other sorts of things. But with positive psychology, that is helping you or teaching you on how to be on how to achieve satisfactory life. Of course, it would lessen mental problems or um, clinical depression and other conditions from arising. So, in a way, positive psychology can already be of prevention or intervention, as mentioned here. Yeah, it's already a help to everyone to avoid certain conditions that would lead you to depression and the like. Alright. For now, definition number three, it was already given earlier, but I'd like us to read definition number five, because definition number four is already mentioned, yung to thrive and human flourishing. Definition number five, please read for me.
Ako po naman.
Yes, po, Elen. Pwede Elen o Navianito. Miss Elen. Tama ba?
Opo, tama po. Positive psychology cannot be confined to any dogmas carved in stone because it is always subject to influences by new creative ideas pressing human needs and changing circumstances.
Alright, meaning if it is not carved in a stone or to any dogmas, it means that um, it can change. So, hindi siya confined. Pag sinabi kasing carved in the stone, nakasulat sa bato, you cannot change that anymore. Nakaukit na sa bato. So, it means that it will keep on evolving, new ideas will arise, new theories about positive psychology will arise. It will always depend on the situation. Kagaya ng pandemic, that's the very first question I asked you. There are so many things that have evolved and that have arisen out of that need of people to keep sane and to keep themselves stay positive in facing challenges in life. Alright. Definition number 6, please read for me. Kasi Miss Onapia na yun. Kasi Miss Ilan earlier. So, Onapia.
Positive psychology is a scientific study of human strength and virtues.
Alright, there's more. There's
The
more.
study of, according to Martin, wait lang, hindi ko makita. Martin Seligman, who is seen as the founding father of positive psychology, the positive psychology movement can be described as the study of what constitutes the pleasant life, the engaged life, and the meaningful life.
Alright. There's already mention of Martin Seligman. So now you know that he is the founding father of positive psychology. We'll discuss more him later. And there's also the mention already of pleasant life, engaged life, meaningful life. How are these things different from each one? So, naku, parang, ayun, nagbabadya yung laptop ko. Nagahanghang siya. Definition number 7, please read.
Naku po.
Yes. Who is that?
Alves po.
Okay, Miss Aldo. Kasi instead of ma'am ako po, kasi iwan ko dapat walang rehab itong ating virtual meet. Instead of saying ma'am ako po, pwede ba, your name right away, like Aldes.
Okay po.
Aldes.
Positive psychology is the scientific and applied approach to uncovering people's strength and promoting their positive functioning. Or positive psychology studies what is going right with the human mind and behavior and how to foster those types of well-being on both the macro, group, and individual level.
Alright, so it's also, one of its goal also is to uncover people's strength. There are so many people, itong pandemic, tsaka niya na-discover sa sarili niya na, I can be a good online seller. In real life, he's really shy and he does not socialize a lot. But because of there's the situation and he has no much choice, then there's a need already to produce money. For example, that person was fired from his or her respective work. So he would have to find a way on how to have a source of income. And he discovered from himself that, I have talent in persuasion, in persuading people to buy from me, in encouraging people to buy my product. So that's really one thing that we can give as an example for uncovering people's strength and promoting positive and promoting their positive functioning. So positive psychology can be of great help to you to uncover those strengths. So Nico, right? Is it Nico? You were also want to say something earlier. Nico, please read positive psychology focuses on 3 things. First is
Ma'am, it's Nickerson Magno po.
sorry, kasi Nico lang makikita ko sa screen ko. Nickerson. Sorry.
Okay po.
Yes. Sorry kasi
Positive psychology focuses on what? Okay po.
Number 1.
Positive psychology focuses on the positive event. Number 1, ma'am. Okay. Positive experience like happiness, joy, inspiration, and love. And number 2 is positive state and traits like gratitude, resilience, and compassion.
And there's the third one. The third, please read.
Positive.
Institution.
Third is positive institution, applying positive principles within entire organization and institution.
Alright, thank you. Pinag-read kita kasi nasulat ko na yung pangalan mo. Pero ang nasulat ko kasi Nico. So, thank you very much. It's Nickerson kasi limited lang yung nakikita dito. This is how it looks like in my screen kasi. Ganyan lang siya eh. Kaya I use double gadget. Ngayon, with my cell phone, very limited. Yan, Nickerson pala. So, there. So, as read by Nickerson, so, it focuses on 3 things. Positive psychology focuses on first, positive experiences. joy, happiness, inspiration. That's what positive psychology is trying to teach us. Positive state and traits. These are qualities that you possess. Some of it needs to be discovered, yes. So there's gratitude, resilience, compassion, resourcefulness. So many people were discovered to be resourceful because of this pandemic. Positive institution. So that's applying positive principles in the entire organization, in institutions. Even among vloggers and ang tawag sa kanila, um, um, mga personality pero sa social media, ang tawag, may term ko, di ba? Parang
Influencers.
influencers. Ayun, oo, di ba? Parang nagkaroon din sila ng sarili nilang organizations eh. They are not on their own. They are forming groups and they were encouraging each one and then nagta-tie up sila, nagtaan sila. So that's positive institution. You're applying positive principles to the entire organization. So there's already the discovery of how are you going to make your very own passion share, and they are also coaching each one and how to be more effective as influencers. So those were the goals of so those were one of the topics in positive psychology. So as a field, positive psychology spends much of its time to discussing topics such as character strength, optimism, life satisfaction, happiness, well-being, gratitude, self-esteem, self-confidence, hope. These are all the topics in positive psychology, and its goal is to help people flourish and live their best lives. Lagi mong iisipin, this life is only one. How are you going to make that life worth living? How are you going that life the happiest? Diba? It's so beautiful when you try to analyze what positive psychology is all about. Now, I have here the origin and history of positive psychology. How did it all start? So, it has existed only since year 2000. Very new. I mean, this is the youngest field of psychology. Other branches of psychology, clinical psychology, educational psychology, abnormal psychology. They were already they already started since century 19th century, and others were the oldest branch of psychology or field of psychology, but positive psychology is the youngest. All right, pinaka earlier. So it focuses on disciplines as mentioned on topics that would be included under the umbrella of positive, yung happiness, well-being, resilience, positivity, and the like. There are people that contributed to the study of positive psychology, and one of which is Abraham Maslow. If you would remember, Abraham Maslow was the one with that theory on the hierarchy of needs. Diba? There's this pyramid in which at the bottom are the basic needs, and then there's the safety, and then there's the belongingness at the next level. And the very tip of that pyramid is self-actualization. And that is also the way to achieve happiness. And that's what also making the person motivated to strive for more, to strive for that self-actualization. In his book, Motivation and Personality, that was published in 1970, he was able to make use of that particular book to contribute to the study of positive psychology. Imagine motivation and personality. Somehow you can already have an idea of what was that book is all about. Another psychologist who have contributed to the study of positive psychology is Martin Seligman. So he is really the person behind this term positive psychology, in which It began as a new area of psychology in 1998 thanks to Martin Seligman. In his book, Authentic Happiness, meaning real happiness, genuine happiness, true happiness. Yan. For the last half century, psychology has been consumed with a single topic only, which is mental illness, as Maslow comments. But with Martin Seligman, he urged psychologists to continue the earlier missions of psychology of nurturing talents and improving life. So let's talk first more about Martin Seligman being the founding father of positive psychology. He had this experiment on animals in which in a cage, and kasi Martin Seligman is known for his theory called learned helplessness. At itong learned helplessness has a direct link to depression. When you say learned helplessness, it is a condition wherein the person loses hope already and does not do anything about the situation anymore to that extent, and that leads to depression. It all started with an experiment wherein a group of dogs were placed in a room, and in that room, they are being exposed to certain electricity. Very, very minimal. It would only cause the dogs to feel discomfort. Hindi naman sila pino-torture, no? To feel discomfort in their places. So they would feel some electricity tolerable to that tolerable extent naman. But what they discovered out of that experiment is that the first time they were exposed to electric shocks, the dogs would really roam around and find ways on how to escape. They would try to open the door. They would try to bang themselves to the door. They are trying to do their best to escape from that situation. The second time, ganun ulit. So they are being exposed to electric shock. Same thing. They would try to escape, do anything that they can do. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, their reactions lessen. And finally, on the next, to the succeeding times, they won't react anymore. They would just stay tame and stay in their places and just wait until it's over. Even though the experimenter had already opened the doors or there's already a way for them to escape, but unfortunately, a problem, these dogs won't try anymore. And that is learned helplessness. That's from where his theory learned helplessness began. In real life, you can actually associate that to the situations that are happening nowadays. Like for example, sa gobyerno, let's say for example, I'm not against auto or anything, I just want to say learned helplessness. There's, may magagawa ba tayo? Parang, if you feel like, ganyan talaga, tanggapin na lang natin, there are frustrations or there are really things that we cannot control. But for instances wherein may pagnanakaw, may pagsasamantala sa budget ng pamahalaan or may mali sa mga decisions wherein sayang ang pera, ang reaction ng tao, hayaan mo na, wag na tayo makialam dyan. That's learned helplessness. Because that's not really proactive thing to think of or proactive thing to do. If you feel like you cannot do anything about the situation anymore, you're being hopeless. So that's an example of learned helplessness. Same with teachers. Alam niyo yung mga teachers, they are so exposed to so many work that is not necessary. Not in college sa DepEd, yung kasi DepEd full-time teacher din ako sa senior high school. They have so many, there are so many work. Like for example, there's such a thing as IDLAR, in which you're going to report what you have accomplished for the day. Halimbawa, gumawa ako ng module. Pipicturean ko yung sarili ko na nagagawa ng motion. Sayang yung oras, it's not necessary. And you're going to do that every day. And you're going to submit that in a week, after the week. So, tatanggapin ko na lang ba yun na gano'n? Ang ibang sangay ba ng gobyerno, bawa pulis ka o gobyerno din naman yan, i-idlar mo ba na may hinahabol akong magnanakaw at kailangan ng evidence na may picture ang sarili mo. So, ibig sabihin, same with teachers, we don't need to prove that we're doing it. Nagpasa ka eh. The fact that it's there, then there's no need to picture myself doing it and submit it. Ito yung work ko, so meaning it's there. Naturo ko siya, naipatest ko siya. So why, sayang. So, usually ugaling ng teacher, gawin na lang, hinihingi, wala. Pagka kasi ganun, so it will just continue. We will not improve the system. So, learned helplessness siya in a way. Yun. So, that's an example of learned helplessness. It's directly linked to depression, by the way. Next! Nako, masyadong makwento, Ms. Hernandez, dahil 8 up and 46. I'll end at 11. Alright. So, in particular, more work on positive, the uplifting, and the inspiring. Yun ang focus ng psychology, positive psychology. More on uplifting, more on inspiring people. Yeah. Kaya it's dedicated to happiness, well-being, exceptionalism, strengths, and flourishing rather than talking about trauma, suffering, pain, mental illnesses. So it's a counterpart really of abnormal psychology. Another person who contributed to the study of positive psychology is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi has this theory called flow theory, which will be module 3 of our lesson. It's exciting. It's my favorite topic actually, and it's exciting. He proposed a new subfield of psychology with a focus on what is life-giving rather than life-depleting. So just imagine in which perspective is he trying to focus on. Okay. So here are the basic concepts of positive psychology. Malapit na tayong matapos. As we go on with the discussion for the whole semester of positive psychology, you'll encounter terms such as eudaimonia, which means the good life, or flourishing. You've encountered flourish earlier, how to make the person shine, be the best version of himself. And Martin Seligman referred to good life as using your signature strengths every day to produce authentic happiness. So it's not really material things or whatsoever that can contribute to the good life. It's how you perceive your life to be. So with understanding what good life is all about, you will realize that it's based on your perception that will make you really feel that authentic happiness. It's not really what you have or what you have achieved, but how you perceive yourself. Next, so Seligman identified other possible goals, and that is families and schools that allow children to grow, and workplaces that aim for satisfaction and high productivity. Just imagine you as a student, you don't like your course. So if you do not like your course, you're not happy with what you're doing. If you're not happy with what you're doing, it doubles the burden. If the project is difficult, the more it's difficult for you. Whereas to those who love what they're doing, to those who love their course, even if it's challenging, if you're given a challenging activity or task, it motivates you to do your work. It challenges you. That's the difference between the two. So we are trying to encourage people to really know oneself in order for you to achieve authentic happiness. All right. So that's the goal of positive psychology as well. Another is to minimize pathological thoughts, yung overthinking that may arise in a hopeless mindset, and to instead develop a sense of optimism towards life. Where are you going to focus on this pandemic? To the number of deaths? To the number of cases? Or you're going to focus your attention to what you can do, not to contribute to that number or what you can do in order for you to still manage to keep sane and to still manage to be productive given that your actions are limited due to pandemic. So it will all depend on you. Application and research findings. Here are the different results of the studies rooted or taken from the studies of positive psychology. They were able to find out that for most part, most people are happy. Happiness is one of the causes of good things. So when you're happy, you are able to um, relate that to people also, and it influences other people to feel the same. You spread it, in other words. Next, most people are pretty resilient. Filipinos most especially. Crisis or crisis, plural, reveal character. Itong may mga scammer, let's say for example, their character of being one was revealed in out of pandemic. So may mga nare-reveal na character. Meron naman mas naging resourceful. So that's your character. It's within you. And it was revealed when given that situation. So crisis reveal character as one of the results of the studies of positive psychology. Religion matters, work also matters in terms of working life, making life worth living. So itong work as your chosen career, it would really have something to do on making yourself feel worth your essence, your purpose worthwhile. If you're in the wrong passion, wrong place, wrong workplace, your heart wasn't hit. Your heart is not in there. So that would cause also or result into your perception of your worth. Alright? Money has diminishing returns on our happiness. So money can really give use authentic happiness. But we can buy happiness by spending money on other people. So that's another thing. Ayan, and eudaimonia, the heart matters more than the head. So that means empathy and compassion are just as important as critical thinking. Yung iba kasi, sobrang nagsusunod na sa rules without actually giving considerations for certain situations. So at times, it can be considered also critical thinking. Pandemic ngayon, pumunta yung isang bata sa eskwelahan para magpasa. Nandiyan na siya eh. So, entertaining mo na. Tsaka mo na siya, na bawal kang lumabas. Tanggapin mo kung ano yung kailangan niya. Napapanood niyo ba sa news, mga batang studying online, hindi na pagbigyan ng teacher dahil doon, it has caused the child to feel bad. Anong ginawa? Nag-suicide. Pinagpuyatan niya yung trabaho niya eh, kasi hindi tatanggapin. Nasa ng critical thinking doon. Kaya it says here, the heart matters more than the head. Compassion is same as critical thinking. Pag-isipan mo naman, pinagpuyatan ng bata, pandemic pa, etc. Nearly all good days have three things in common. So, a sense of autonomy, competence, and connections. Good life can be taught na ituturo ang good life. There are life coaches. Yeah, you can be of help by guidance counselors, by teachers, or anyone who is can be your confidant. Now, here are the goals of positive psychology. Some were already mentioned, but here are the following goals of psychology in the goals of positive psychology in coaching. So number one, to positively impact a client's life. Secondly, increase the client's experience of positive emotions. Help clients identify and develop strengths, uniqueness. Enhance the client's goal setting. Ito yung minsan wala. If you do not have goal in life, saan ang direksyon ng buhay? So, that's it. Build a sense of hope. Never ever lose hope. Always find the slightest chance possible. Never give up in other way. In other way. In other words, ibig sabihin, cultivate the client's sense of happiness. It's an attitude. It can actually be developed. Nurture a sense of gratitude, always be grateful of everything. Help the client build, maintain healthy, positive relationships. Encourage the client to maintain optimistic mood. And lastly, help the client learn to savor every positive moment. Alright, so there. We have just finished discussing intro pa lang to introduction to positive psychology. And this is to give you a glimpse of what to expect for our subject, positive psychology. Ang pinili ko din pong activity, ito lang, letter A, napakadali. I'll be posting that in our Google Classroom and Google and Facebook Classroom. Other question about the introduction to positive psychology. Yan, mag-fix-fix na rin tayo ng work kasi malapit na ako mag-comment. If not, thank you very much, Reggie, Mary Christine, Miss Espiritu, Miss Cinco, Jamie, Jervin, Miss Enca Cervantes, Algis, Lady Pauline, John Benedict, Castro, Elen, Olivia Albert, and Nicholson. Alright, questions? Wala, i-stop sharing ko na. Open your cameras for photo attendance. Kasi yung iba hindi nakasama sa 10 o'clock. Alright, ready?
Say cheese.
Sorry, nagahang yung laptop ko. Ayaw pa niyang gumana. Celeteria Angelica has left the meeting. Kawawa naman yung picture pa tayo. O kanina pa to. Wait a bit, may laptop hang. Kaya ba sa cellphone? Ayaw sa laptop ko, bigla siyang mag-error. Naghang yung laptop ko. Who would like to volunteer take us picture?
Ay, ma'am.
O sige, please. Tapos pasang na lang sa GC Ito nangyari nag-hang siya.
Kaso mayroong 7 na hindi makakasama, pero nandito yung si Medley.
Yung session, isang session lang ko lang hindi tayo mag-kasya. 49. Ito na, meron na ako. Mami, hindi kasama. Alright. Please open your cameras now. Pwede rin kayo magkuha ng pictures niya. Naku, yung 7 others. Sorry naman, pero
Walang tawas yan.
Miss Cervantes, kaya ba sa laptop mo ikaw na lang kako?
Yes, ma'am.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay na?
Okay na po, ma'am.
Okay, naghang na yung laptop ko. So, thank you everyone. Kung may question, kasi kanina nagtatanong ko kung may question, parang wala na. Alright, thank you.
Malinaw na
Yes.
po, ma'am.
Ay, okay, thank you very
Ma'am,
much.
nakagawa na po kayo ng Google Classroom.
Meron na po. Wala ka pa? Nasa GC. Nasa GC ka na ba?
Wala pa po. Okay na. Sige po.
Oo, nasa GC na. So I'll be posting this in our FB closed group and also in our Google Classroom. Okay? Thank you very much. See you next Saturday.
Thank you
All
po,
right,
ma'am. God
bye.
bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Ito na talaga yung laptop ko. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Pakipost yung picture sa GC kasi pupost natin sa FB group.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you po.
Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you po.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you po.
I'll end.